3, 2, Mike Wazowski. And hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, YemmytheFerret here, and we have another episode of Film Freakz with a Z, because we're edgy. That's right. Hey, if you want to recommend a movie for us to watch in a future episode, you can either type it in the comments or send us an email at ff.filmfreaks@gmail.com. Just send us anything you want. As we say, don't send things that are difficult to find, because then it just becomes, us scurrying around trying to find it for 2 weeks instead of us being able to watch it in a good amount of time. But yeah, I am here with, of course, I'm going to introduce myself first, right? I am YemmytheFerret, aka Yemmy, and I do podcasts and live streams and stuff like that. Who am I here with?
I'm GreedyWaffle, aka Nick, and I am Yemmy's friend.
I'm Tay. I have a Twitch channel, a YouTube channel. I do all that stuff, and yeah.
And I'm Coco, the Eater.
The Eater?
Yeeta.
Oh,
The
yes.
Eater. The Eater.
I was about to say, we're all eaters here, I believe.
I don't know. I haven't eaten all day. I'm pretty hungry.
Oh.
Sorry.
It's been at least 3 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, I believe you recommended a movies for us.
I did. What I recommended was The Maze Runner, released in 2014 in September on the 19th. It is directed by Wes Ball. Some of the stars is Dylan O'Brien, who plays the main character, Thomas, Kea Scodelario, and Will Poulter are some of the main cast played throughout this movie. The Maze Runner is when Thomas, who his memory was completely erased besides knowing his name, is sent up into this campfire, or this camp with other group of boys, and on the other side of these walls is a maze, and they got to try to figure their way out. Is that good enough? I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, that described the movie.
Yeah,
So it's basically these group of boys who are trapped up in the camp, and they run through this maze. They're known as runners, and they're trying to figure out these ways to get out of the maze. So I'm going to start off with a question for you guys. Would you stay at the campfire, or would you join Thomas in escaping the maze?
All right. Well, so first off, what I would do is I would actually ask questions and get answers. Because Thomas just feels like most of the time he's just like, "What's going on?" And everyone's like, "You'll find out later." And he's like, "Oh, okay." That wouldn't fly with me. I would know what's going on within the first hour. I would know everything, and then I can make a better decision. And I would go into the maze.
Yeah, I think I would go into the maze too. I mean, Thomas was such a commanding presence at the end there. Like, he was talking a lot of sense too. And I feel like if you stay with Galloway, then, well, I guess you're never seeing another movie again.
Yeah, I would say I would go into the maze. Because, one, it makes logical sense than living without any control if you're ever going to live or die. Like, you just send up boxes. Like, here's a green to name. Like, well, they just don't send it. Then you're basically just screwed.
Yeah, also, all the doors are open, so the grievers could just get back in, and that's a bad day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nick, what would you do? Would you join Thomas?
Absolutely. I would get out of their way. Why would you, stay there? What's the point of staying? You get, food for 1 month at a time? And obviously, a little spoiler at the end here, now the food stops coming, and I just don't get why Gally wanted to stay there, even though he had no supply of food anymore. I just don't get why he wouldn't want to stay there. But I would definitely go through the maze.
I think they grew their food too, though, some to supplement the. I don't think it was enough food.
Yeah, I definitely not enough.
Yeah, there's a
But
whole
if everyone
cornfield.
left, if everyone left, that might be enough.
Yeah, well, you also have to remember, I think the place was burning, if I remember correctly, from the last night scene. So it's possible that the food also was burned as well.
Yeah.
They'd have to resort to eating each other. Or they could eat the griever parts if they
True.
if they killed them.
Eat the grass.
Yeah, that's a high in nutrition, right?
Definitely high in nutrition.
Unfortunately, we only have one stomach, so we'd have to throw it up at least 10 times to chew it down.
What do you guys think of the acting in the movie?
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, personally, I thought they put on some good performances. I wasn't buying, what's the girl's name? Jennifer?
The girl was
Teresa?
Teresa.
I wasn't
Teresa,
buying her
that's right.
character as much, especially because she kind of appears midway through the movie and then
Like
is
disappears,
immediately just
like sidelined.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't really buying her character, but everyone else was doing a pretty good job. And even like the supporting characters who were just on screen for 2 seconds and died, I felt like they did pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially for like I believe they were all in their late teens for most of the characters.
Yeah,
some
I think the
younger.
age group was like 18, 19 for this
Something
movie.
weird.
Another thing I wanted to touch base on, you think since they came up from the lab, they're all like genetified to like do certain tasks, like part of the research, like Gally was, genetified to like be the outlier to like keep the kids there, while Thomas was, like the pusher, and what was the king of the place? Was it
Albie?
Newt? Well, Albie, but then he rip Albie. I think it was Newt. I think it was when Newt came into play. I think he was just kind of like the middle of the road character, just like keep everyone calm. You think like they just established that, or you think they're like genetically modified to do that for research purposes?
I feel like they definitely just happened because the whole point of the research was to get them to face life or death situations so they could create this antivirus blood. So I think that's kind of why they sent Thomas up, is because they weren't doing anything and they went, all right, let's get this moving faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably why they also left him with some like they didn't do like as a strong of a dose as the memory wipe as with all the other people. Because even when he was going up in the elevator, he was still getting like flashbacks, and he knew that Wicked was good,
Yeah.
Thinking like I don't think it was like a dose. I think it was like something they put inside him, like maybe inside his brain. And also, it makes no sense. Like 3 years, they can't remember anything. He hits in the head once and starts remembering things. Even when he's coming back, he still like hit in the head, and all he's like, "Oh, now now he's remembering everything."
Well, I mean, I think it was just based on the time, because everyone said they got their memory back and within 3 or 4 hours, and then he got there at daylight, and then it was nighttime when they're tussling or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, and it was always just the name that they got back, and they said I think within a few days. So I think some people got it back sooner. Some people got it back after, latest was like 3 days.
Yeah.
Speaking of 3 days.
Go ahead.
Oh. 3 days?
Yeah, this whole movie takes place in 3 days, and I thought it was way longer. But it's 3 days, and Thomas already knows every single kid's name. It's 3 days, and he's done like tons of things that you wouldn't imagine someone in 3 days doing in a scenario like this. It was just, it was really, I mean, I would, like, if I was a kid in that situation, I would be suspicious of Thomas with Gally until the end, probably, because, I mean, Thomas is, like, doing all this stuff that you're breaking the rules, and he knows a bunch of stuff randomly, and it's like, well, it's a little suspicious to me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. Well, when I was watching, I was thinking in my head, like, when I go, this is based on a book. I guarantee you the book takes place in the span of months. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read it. Maybe someone here has read it and they can tell me. But I assumed, I'm like, this has got to take place in months because it's movies. They always compress it down to a week or less because, movies.
Yeah, movies, basically.
Yeah, did anyone ever read the book?
I read like half of it. But I think it does take place in over a span of months, because it starts off with day one, like the chapters. So the book is like 300, 400 pages, or a little less maybe, but there's no way it's span of 3 days.
Yeah.
Can you tell us any like major differences between the first part of the movie and the book?
The book is just more detailed. They skipped out a lot of like the necessary like bullshit. Like the book goes into like great details, like introducing every character And no, here you only get introduced to like the main characters. Like in the book, you get actually introduced to the one character who attacks Thomas because he got stung, like in the beginning, and then it's like a cliffhanger. Like this. What's his name? I want to say Ben. Yeah, Ben. Ben was like introduced as in like it was like one of the hangers in the beginning of the book, or like one of the, what's the word I'm looking for, like
Chapter
twist.
endings.
Yeah, like twist, because you didn't expect it because he was just in the forest, and then in the movie they just show him like all of a sudden like, hey, I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah, that was one of my problems with this movie, is that like none of these other characters were like really set up. And I even wrote a note that, like I said, Thomas knows every kid's name, and sometimes you only learn these kids' name because they're about to get killed, and Thomas is like, Bradley, and that's it. And you're like, oh, that was that kid.
Oh, the whole time I could have called him Bradley instead of that kid.
Like the kid who was in the cornfields with him, like you saw him like once in the movie, but he never heard his name. And then all of a sudden, Thomas is like, "Oh no, David!" And it's like, "Oh, David, my heart yearns for you."
Yeah, it does lack some character development, that's for sure. One scene I want to talk about is when oh, come on, think here. Manho, the Chinese guy, Minho, gets trapped in the maze with Thomas when Thomas first time goes in the maze.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of weird that he like knew like what to do and knew how to hide. And after like going back to his memory being erased, like how do you know those things? So that's why I think they're genetically modified, because
Well, it
he
didn't
knew
seem
what
like
to
he
do.
was hiding though, because he was kind of running around, and then Thomas bumped into him. Also, why didn't Thomas just stay in the vines?
Yes, that bugged me. I was like, dude, he didn't see you. You just stay in there.
Yeah, you can tie up Albie so you're not straining the whole night, and just go to bed.
Well, I think the mace was going to change. That's why he couldn't stay.
I don't. Well, I mean, if that was the case, then Albie would have been smushed, right?
Yeah,
Because he was like hanging by the vine.
yeah. So that scene got me scratching my head, especially the way he got around that. I've lost my train of thought now.
Well, yeah, we were talking about Minnow was kind of running around the maze, so I don't feel like he knew where to hide. I just think he knew kind of the routes that the maze was in right at that time.
Yeah.
And he was able to kind of know where the good choke points were where he could lose the grievers behind him.
Mm-hmm. It's just amazing, like
amazing.
We can end there now.
Roll credits.
Yeah.
That he just like been running that maze for so long, and then he just knows like every detail, like every section, section 1 through 7. It's just amazing that he knew all that. And man, it's just watching that movie made me tired and like out of breath because they ran a lot, especially when they're running back from the doors sliding back together. Oh my god, I was just like, oh my god, I could never run that much.
No, I couldn't either. But I feel like for a movie/book called Maze Runner, and I'm sure the book had more running, I didn't feel like there was enough running.
Well, yeah, literally when Thomas became a runner and you thought, oh, we're going to see some like maze action, he's going to go into the maze and run around. They just kind of walked in there, took the part out of the griever, then left. There was like hardly any running there. Really, the running happened at the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then when they went in a second time, it was like, okay, now we're gonna get some maze action. And Minnow was just like, here, follow me. And like within 2 seconds, they were in the center.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, if that's how long it takes to get to the center, why isn't everyone there? Yeah.
Would you guys really want to see like the whole maze though? The whole this time, I mean, that could have been like another 35 minutes.
It would have been interesting to at least see Thomas like trying to explore it, because it was like his first time in the maze. He was just kind of running around scared, and then we could have had this scene where he was running around the maze during the day, exploring. We could see some really good visuals of how the maze changes and moves. Like one of the coolest scenes in this movie is there's two. So there's the one where Minnow reveals that they mapped out the entire maze, which is a pretty cool little setup they have. And then the other one is when the helicopter's flying away, you just kind of see the maze and how expansive it was. Yeah. But like to Tay's point, it took them like in film time, it took them like 2 minutes to get from point A to B, and it's like, well, is it really that big? Like you're sending mixed signals at me.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how long it really took, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, by the time they got back, it was like the maze was about to close. So I assume it took them half a day to get there, half a day to get back. But with 3 cuts, it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I guess they figured, that would just be boring and just long and just unneeded screenplay,
Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't. Yeah, or maybe they didn't think it through.
Yeah.
But,
What did you guys think of the sound design in this movie? Because I was actually really impressed by the sound design, especially when they took the key out of the Griever's face, like the sound of it squishing and coming around. I thought that was a really good sound design. When the maze is moving, it kind of sounded like the creature from Lost, but
yes, it did. I'm like, there's a smoke monster about to show up.
Yeah.
even though you good.
Well, even the Grievers kind of sound like the smoke monster at times because they were all metal and metallic and moving around. And you're like, all I hear is moving chains.
Yeah.
Is the guy from Outlast here, or is this the smoke monster?
The first time the Griever shows up and Minnow's run off on his own, I guess it's the Grievers. Well, yeah, but I guess it's the Grievers screaming because it sounded like I heard him die 4 times before he showed up again. I was like, oh, I guess he didn't die.
Yeah, I think it was just the echoing of the Grievers sounded like Minnow.
Screaming in agony and death. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure it's a pretty painful existence to be a Griever. I mean, what are those things even made of, and how painful is it to have mechanical arms and legs,
Yeah, I was confused on what they were going with because his body is alien, but you have metal arms and legs. Are you a machine? Or are you are you just some freaking monster?
No, I wondered that too. I was like, wait, is this? But when first I was like, oh, they're robots. All right, cool. So this maze makes robots. Wait, that looks very organic though. What's going on?
It could have just been a fake skin, fake guts, kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Kind of like the you see those anatomically correct human things where you can open them up for nurses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more plot convenience that as soon as they kill this one Griever, they get the key to the exit.
Well, there was one Griever per doorway, so
Section,
I think there was I think there was 8 or 7 or something like that.
7 sections, so there's one Griever with
8
each
sections.
key. Or 8?
Yeah, I think so.
So each section would open up one at a time, and one Griever would come out per night.
I feel
although it kind of felt like there was more. Yeah,
I feel like there was several, but per
that's why
section.
I said one Griever with the key. I don't know. Maybe they all had their own key.
Yeah, I'm guessing they all had keys.
Yeah, because they had to get through the doorway during the daytime. So that's what opened. So yeah, there had to be all had keys. Real quick, going to that part where the Griever was smashed between the shifting of the maze. Did anyone else jump when he was taking the? Even I was expecting it. And even though I was expecting it, I still jumped. I was like, I don't know why it scared me.
Which parts?
Where they're taking the key out of the Griever and the arm moves forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you said it was dead. I was like,
I was like, oh my god, this thing's gonna move. This thing's gonna jump out.
Yeah, something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen.
Still happens. And I think that goes back to the sound noises just in my ear, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I gotta say they got pretty damn lucky that the wall didn't just pancake everything on that Griever, including the key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that how big those walls, how strong they are. They would just squish it.
Yep.
It made no sense that it didn't, because these Grievers aren't that strong.
Yeah. It's kind of like the trash compactor scene in Star Wars: A New Hope, where they're trying to barricade it, it's just nothing's working. And I think, kind of to that point, there might have been a mastermind in the the laboratory going, okay, we need to stop the wall at this point so that they it's not completely destroyed or something like that.
Yeah.
The old R2-D2 of Maze Runner.
Turns out it is R2-D2. This takes place in the Star Wars universe.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing too. It was pretty strange.
Yoda's on top using the force on the top of the walls. just
silently there, just over it all. I was like, all right, just mess with them.
Okay, so I have two things I want to talk about. First one is I just want to say how quickly these kids like got over deaths was just crazy.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh no, you died. Oh well, let's move on.
I never liked you anyways.
I mean, part of that's like comes down to the plot or not plot, the character development for us because we as audience don't care because it's like, oh no, that guy.
Yeah. Well.
So I mean, when Chuck died, that was the biggest I think reaction because we had gotten to know Chuck.
But
I can't
did we,
believe
though?
Chuck. I can't believe Chuck was able to run all that way.
yeah, at that point.
Sorry, but
Well, I almost
point.
feel like Chuck's character was a little bit rushed. I mean,
Yes.
going back and watching it, besides from the first part where he's first telling Thomas about things, like immediately as Chuck's like talking, he walks off towards the maze and then gets pushed down by Galloway. And then the next scene you see Chuck, he's pretty much just sleeping. And then the next scene you see Chuck, he's whittling away. So you kind of have that character progression. Then he finally reveals the little idol he's got. And
that's
I feel like out of all the
makes
main
sense.
characters, Chuck had like the least amount of screen time to develop his character.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely he just seemed weird where he was just like, oh, we're now best friends. It's like, but why?
On?
What has he done to show that you guys are best friends now?
Yeah.
I kind of had a feeling he was gonna die at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I-
Definitely.
I didn't know how, but I thought like a griefer was gonna like take him and like
Oh, yeah.
throw him
He-
down the pit. But
He lasted longer than I thought he was going to. I thought he was going to die in like the corn maze or the cornfield.
Yeah. So give this to my parents. After that moment, I was like, all right, he's going to die.
that was a big foreshadowing for sure.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of kids getting taken away, I'm pretty sure Albie's still alive. I haven't seen the other movies, but from the way that because you don't see these characters die on screen, most of them. So I'm guessing that most of the kids are probably still alive somewhere. I don't know if they come back in the next movies or what.
Yeah, it wouldn't make
It's just what it
sense
seems like to me.
to kill them off. Like if they're trying to get a cure from them, you wouldn't waste those resources. You'd wipe their memory again and put them in a different maze.
Yeah.
I guess someone's got to suggest the next one, and we got to find out.
Yeah,
That's your job.
That's your department. Yeah,
Just
you're the maze runner now.
Maze
Yeah.
running 1 through 3.
Go to
Hey,
the maze.
Here's my next 3 picks, guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
so my other point I wanted to make, which they kind of answered, because the very end, you see him get on a helicopter and it flies over the maze. And right before you get that little twist ending that everyone's still alive and it was all part of the plan. For a second, I was like, if they just fly helicopters in there, why hasn't anyone life-flighted these kids out? If people because they say they are people who are like, oh, I don't like these methods that Wicked's doing. We should save the kids. And it's like, all you need is a helicopter to save the kids.
Yeah, get a helicopter with a minigun attached to it,
Yeah.
just in case they send the grievers to attack you, and you're done.
Yeah. So that was one kind of hiccup where I was like, well, that seems like this could have been resolved quicker and easier. But
Also, what could the next trial really be? Like, are they just going to go into that decrepit city and just survive there now? It's
Yeah.
Yes, actually, the next maze runner is them in the city.
Spoiler! Can we just talk about how Galloway was able to go all the way from the village to the secret lab in like less than 5 minutes?
Yeah, how did he get the safe route? I feel like he got the safe route and knew something that they didn't.
Like,
he got his memory back, so
Well, yeah, he took out a griever apparently, and he just kind of showed up. Very strange.
it was.
Yeah. He took out Griever, was stung, and still had the same exact key to open the gate.
No, I don't think it was the same key. It would have been a key from like a different griever that he would have killed.
I almost feel like he was just following them the whole time. And when they all rushed in, what's up? They closed the door behind them.
Yeah,
huh?
but
Yeah,
they
they
closed the
clo-
walls.
everything
The
closed.
walls. Yeah, so there had to be a secret way or something, or
I was like, you gonna explain? You gonna do something?
Well, it is possible that he followed them up to that point, and then once the doors closed, there was maybe a griever who was facing the opposite direction trying to run out and got squished, so he was able to take the key from him.
But I think it was the maze that closed, not like the actual door. It was the actual maze closing. I don't know.
I don't
That
know.
is kind of weird.
Well, it could also be that the scientist people made it so that he could do it.
Maybe it was a clone.
Oh,
The scientist made a clone of him, so there's still one. What's his name? Gallahan or
Galloway, I think.
Galloway? There's still Galloway dead in the glade because all the Reavers showed up, or Grievers. But they made a clone, and so the clone just showed up and it's just like, I have to kill you because that's what I'm programmed to do. Back to the
Yeah,
next
but
point.
wouldn't the clone die when the army men attacked the whole facility? I mean,
Well, they didn't. That's the thing. They didn't really attack the facility. That was all a fake to get the kids on the helicopter. Like that's why you see at the end that she's not really dead.
Oh yeah, that's right. Huh.
Literally, all the kids had to do is look at her wound a little bit closer, and they would have known.
Yeah.
Her body's still there though. Like I'm not sure what they would. I don't know. I have a big problem with that because like even in the maze, they show her like straight to the face, and we don't see the actual shooting itself, but we hear the gunshot off at her. Now, I'm not sure if that's actually just a wound she's safe from, or is it just a copy of her body? Because I don't know.
It was actually her, because at the end of the movie with the twist, she was wiping off the fake blood from her face.
Yeah.
So she was actually there, and they must have recorded that well, and within enough time to know how long they'd take to get there.
And I guess every broken glass, everything is just all fake. 'Cause all the glass is broken, but you go over and see them. It's like, oh no, everything's nothing's broken at all.
Well, they gotta keep the profits up. They can't destroy their whole lab equipment.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wrote down in on my notes, when Galloway and Thomas are like splitting the group, there's one guy who has really long blonde hair. He kind of looks like the Nickelback singer if he was like 20 years younger.
Oh yeah.
And he looks way older than all the other kids. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I think I did notice. I just remember him being old. Like I didn't notice it was Nickelback, but I do remember seeing like an older kid.
It's like Nickelback before he grew in his goatee.
Well, not wrong.
But you don't see him for like a lot of these kids. Also, another thing, even though you don't really see all of them throughout the movie, you just kind of like get introduced to these new kids, like the blonde-haired kid who had long hair. Like I didn't see him throughout the whole movie until that one scene, and he stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Like when they leave and all in a group, I'm just picturing like, yeah, some people are just gonna die here. Lesser known characters we don't really know. It's like, yeah, you, and you. Just stick to the main people.
I mean, they could have at least done us the favor of giving them red shirts.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't have gotten attached.
So what's gonna happen to the maze now that they're all out? Just get blown up, just disappear.
They have any bombs.
They probably put more kids into it, to be honest with you. Start again, because she said it was a success. So they probably have another. I don't know if I would say batch, but they probably have another group of kids that they're waiting to put in there.
Never just start over, clean it up, hit reset,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well, anybody else have last thoughts?
Those are my points.
I think I'm all good.
All right. Let's do our ratings out of 5. You want me to go first?
Well, it's your movie.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So like I said, last podcast, I was couldn't remember this movie, and I remember liking it when I was younger, and I still think I like it despite all the confusion and left out information. I give this one probably a 4 out of 5. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Yeah, I remembered most of this movie. I don't know why, but when I went back and watched it, I was a little bored while going through it, and nothing really fazed me because I remembered everything from the movie. But it's still a good watch, and I think that the sound design and cinematography is good enough that you can get some extra enjoyment out of it on a second watch. And even though I had some problems with it, some things weren't fleshed out as much as they could have been. They could have had to go for a few more days and just get a few more character growth moments. I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5.
I agree with pretty much all those points. And I feel like this is a problem with any book adaptation to a movie, is they leave everything out and it doesn't ever quite flow as well. But overall, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Although I could see a lot of stereotypes, like one of the kids being extremely douchey, who turns out to be killing off one of the characters in the end, or something like that. I know who's gonna be like douche and he'll be a point of role. And then just the time movie, I liked it. I didn't like the movie, but some parts are just like it's not really the original. So I'll give it like a 3 out of 5.
All right, that's all of our ratings. Let us know what you thought about the movie, the person listening or watching this. If you've seen the movie The Maze Runner, let us know in the comments below, or send us, I guess not really send us an email, but at least go in the comments on the YouTube video. Let us know what you thought of the movie, and if you liked our points, or if you had different points, doesn't matter, just let us know. I appreciate it. Make sure you like the video too, because it tells us that we're doing something right. All right, I believe Tay, a.k.a. Taymation Studios, has a recommendation.
I sure do. So this is a movie I watched back in film school. I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it since. And so I want to watch it again. I'm going to subject you guys to it as well.
Oh, boy.
It is directed by George Roy Hill, who you've probably never heard of, because I don't know anything else he's done. It stars Paul Newman, Robert Redford, and Robert Shaw. It's called The Sting from 1973. It's one of the shortest little synopsises I've ever seen for a film. Two grifters team up to pull off the ultimate con.
All right.
That's it.
I remember, yeah, that was it. I remember it, like I said, I remember it's really good. It's kind of a comedy, but it was a fun show. I remember it being a fun show, so I want to watch it again.
All right, sounds good. Let's see where The Sting is available.
I checked earlier, and it's on pretty much everything.
It looks like it's on Tubi, YouTube, Amazon Prime, iTunes, Google Play, Vudu, and of course DVD, and probably Blu-ray. But yeah, all right. So if you want to join in on the conversation in 2 weeks, make sure you watch The Sting from 1973.
Would it be 2 weeks though for Christmas? Are we doing one on Christmas?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Well, the episodes get released on Fridays. So,
Okay.
We just recorded a different day.
yeah, we're just gonna record it a different day. But yeah, if you want to watch The Sting from 1973 by George Roy Hill, make sure you do that before the next episode, which will be in 2 weeks of this one being released. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Anyone else have anything they want to say before we skedaddle?
Nope.
Nope. All right, well, I am YemmytheFerret, and I'm here with
GreedyWaffle.
Taymation.
Coco Gamer.
And this has been an episode of Film Freakz. Thanks for watching.
See you.
Or listening.
Bye.